It is my pleasure and honor to introduce today Jeremy Courtney, all the way from Iraq, Executive Director and founder of Preemptive Love Coalition and author of the book with the same title, Preemptive Love. Jeremy, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Tell us what took you to Iraq, and what made you take your young family across the world.
Well, around the middle of the Iraq War, my wife and I became more and more aware of some of the suffering and some of the needs and opportunities that were presenting themselves in Iraq. And through a contact that we had in Iraq, we were invited to come in and see firsthand what was going on, both in terms of the need of the Iraqi people, but also the opportunity to join the Iraqi people after decades of Saddam's tyranny and trying to develop a better future together. So we jumped into that mess for all that it was in hopes of being with our Iraqi friends to make a better future.
So you went there not knowing that you're going to end up with the Preemptive Love Coalition. You didn't even know that you're going to be helping kids. So how did that idea come about?
Yeah, when we moved here, we moved with a completely different organization and had a completely different agenda. And one day I was sitting in a hotel, I was drinking my cup of tea, kind of minding my own business, when a guy approached me and asked me if I would be able to do him a favor. One thing led to another. He told me about his little cousin and this little girl who needed a life-saving heart surgery. Told me that she had a huge hole in her heart and there wasn't a doctor or a hospital in all of Iraq that could save her life, and asked if there was something I could do for her. And my initial response wasn't brave or impressive. It was just to actually say, I don't know anything about that. I don't think I could help you. And he slowly won me over and helped me see that I had a lot more resources and a lot more contacts than they did, and that it would be good for me to try. Even if I failed, it would be good for me to try. And so we decided as a family and some friends to try. And to our surprise, we actually were able to put this girl kind of in the system and on the way toward getting the heart surgery that she needed. And in the process of doing that, we found out she wasn't alone, that there were hundreds and hundreds of kids, soon to be thousands, that we learned about like her all across the country who were waiting for these life-saving heart surgeries.
So how,
and so,
sorry, go ahead.
Yes.
So how exactly is your coalition helping kids? What exactly do you do?
So it took us a while to kind of find the sweet spot of what Iraq needed and how we would be able to respond to that. But what we have landed on is that what Iraq really needs is expertise. They need human resources. They need doctors from America, from Europe, to come and stand beside them and teach them how to care for their children, teach them how to do complex heart surgery. They need nurses that are experts in their field to come and stand by them day by day and teach them how to do proper nursing. So that's what we do. We work day by day in trying to put experts in nursing and expert physicians alongside Iraqis. And in the process of doing that, we are able to save a lot of lives. But most importantly, we're able to put the training in their hands so that they will go on to save thousands, tens of thousands of lives for decades to come.
And I know that you also send some children abroad to Turkey and Israel. Is that still the practice? So you're trying to treat most of them in Iraq?
In the early days, when the war was still raging on and everything was chaos and confusion, we did send some children outside the country. Iraq just really wasn't in a place that it made sense to bring in foreign teams, and Iraq domestically wasn't in a place where they were investing in those kind of infrastructural development. They would use their operating theaters primarily to take care of car bombing victims in a lot of hospitals, and to move beyond that emergency, that chaos medicine, into something more like what we're doing now. It just wasn't a feasibility. Thankfully, things have calmed it down to some degree, and they are able to invest their local resources so that they can look to the future. And so, yeah, we sent kids out for a number of years and had a great time doing that, made a lot of really great memories and great friends along the way, but ultimately determined that that wasn't going to help Iraq. That was going to help a few children and a few families. And we want to be about making a better Iraq And to do that, we need to bring in the solutions that Iraq will need for the future.
Well, remember in those early days, I can't imagine it being easy sending Muslim children to Israel, for example. And I bet there were some other cultural difficulties that you had to deal with. And is that something that you talk in your book about?
Yeah, the book is primarily a chronicle of what it has been like seeking to love preemptively. The whole Iraq war was largely predicated on this idea that we would get them before they got us, that we needed to strike them before we saw the smoking gun and found that we had been striked. And we wanted to stand that on its head a little bit. We wanted to say that we could go in and love others before they loved us first. We could go in and serve others before they had earned our trust, perhaps. And one of the ways that we saw that come to fruition in the earliest days was through some contacts in Israel who were saying, come one, come all. We're ready to help Iraqi Muslim children. And so we sent a number of kids through some partnerships to Israel. And as you can imagine, it was scandalous. It was it drew the attention and the ire of fundamentalist clerical councils who issued fatwas against us, calling for our death. But it also earned the attention of a lot of families and earned us a lot of goodwill across the country. When these families approached us and approached some of our colleagues and our friends, they were scared. They liked the opportunity that their child might have an option for heart surgery, but they were scared because all they had ever heard was terrifying stories of the state of Israel and Jews and the idea of placing their child in the hands of an enemy, both American enemy, Christian enemy, and Jewish Israeli enemy. It was overwhelming for parents. So yeah, we tell a lot of those stories and talk a lot about that in the book. And as you can probably imagine, when the enemy saves the life of your child, it's hard for that person to remain your enemy. Yeah. And that's a lot of what we've discovered and a lot of what we are trying to accomplish here.
You seem to be working with a lot of, well, understandably, Muslims and Christians, and there's probably no distinction when it comes to saving a child. Do you ever get a chance to share God and to share the gospel with them?
I mean, everything we do is an outworking of our faith. This is who we are. We are here because we are followers of Jesus. That it's God's love that's compelled our family to be here in the first place. It's God's vision for the future of Iraq that keeps us here on our hardest days, where if we were here for money or for some other reason, we would have cut and run a long time ago. And so because that's who we are, every conversation, every moment with families here is an outworking of our faith, is a testament to God's life and work in us. Yeah.
Well, since we're talking about religion, has your perspective, has your vision of Islam changed over the years?
Yeah, it absolutely has. When I arrived in this part of the world nearly a decade ago, it was fresh after September 11th, and I was just coming into my own, my early 20s. I was coming into my own politically. I was coming into my own faith theologically. And 9/11 was a very formative experience for me in trying to introduce me to Islam, as it were. And I think it was that way for many of us. Islam was on the fringe of our life, on the fringe of our reality, and September 11th brought it into our consciousness and into our living room in a very real way. So I had my stereotypes and I had my experiences and I had my conclusions, but very few of those were based on personal relationships, personal experiences, or even a personal inquiry into the Quran or Islam. Having been here in this part of the world for almost a decade now, I've got scores of close friends and hundreds and thousands of encounters with Muslims who have cared for me, who have proven to be extremely hospitable, loving, moderate, if you will, and very passionate about their pursuit of God in a way that doesn't really match up to the caricature that I had of Islam when I arrived. Yeah, my perspective has changed considerably, and I'm very much better for having lived here and for the friendships that I've made along the way.
And it seems like with your love, you've been able to win a lot of them over, not maybe change their religious views, but like you said, make friends. Are they ready to accept this love? Do you feel welcome now after all these years?
You know, like any set of relationships, it's dynamic. It ebbs and it flows. You know, there are seasons of great trust, seasons of great richness and friendship. And as I elucidate in the book through a number of narratives, there are times of betrayal. And this is a world that's seen a lot of pain. This is a part of the world that has seen a lot of pain. And pain often begets more pain. Betrayal often begets more betrayal. And what we're working through here day after day is how can you step into betrayal? How can you step into distrust and absorb that pain into yourself? And what we're hoping and what we're experiencing along the way is that there's something to being rooted in the love of Christ. There's something to believing that justice has already been accomplished on the cross that allows us to not retaliate, that allows us to even love our enemies. And I think in the process, we find a lot of acceptance, that we find that love is reciprocated. We find that those overtures are received and are understood for what they are. And it's not a smooth ride. It's not that Islam is good and everything else is bad. It's not that Islam is bad and everything else is good. It's a grab bag of people, and we're all broken, and we're all trying to figure out how to put things back together, I think.
Well, definitely our prayers will be with you. What else do you need? How else can people get involved or help you with your mission to help children in Iraq?
Well, I do hope you will pick up the book. Everyone that speaks up about the book seems to have very positive things to say, and that's been such a blessing to me and my family and our organization. I hope that the book and its stories would be able to challenge and inspire you toward your own efforts in preemptive love in your own neighborhood, and yes, maybe even around the world. So I hope you'll pick up a book that's available, you know, wherever books are sold. Certainly Amazon will still be able to get it to you by Christmas. You can even get a free copy of the book for any donation that you make to our life-saving work here in Iraq. So preemptivelove.org, any donation, and we'll send you a free copy of the book. Digital downloads, all that stuff is available. So that's what I would ask. I would ask that you give the book a chance, give our story a chance, and I really think it'll inspire you and make a great gift here for Christmas time.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you for this offer. We only have a moment left. So again, the book's title is Preemptive Love by author Jeremy Courtney. And like you said, it's available everywhere now. So go ahead and check it out. And Jeremy, I want to say thank you to you. So often we hear that I don't hear God, I don't feel God well. And then I've heard many times to feel God's presence, go love someone. And you do it so well, and you showed to us that it's possible to love someone, and in your case, it's the least, it's the children of Iraq. So I want to thank you from all of us here and assure you that we will be praying for you.
Well, thank you for your support. We really appreciate it.